Well, hey everyone, my name is Nathan Jones, and we're here for another film journey. Today, I'm actually joined by my good friend that has been a good friend of mine for a long time, actually, and it's really a privilege to actually finally able to talk to him. David from Cartoon Fortress, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me, Nathan. It's fantastic to be here.
Yeah, I've been loving that you've been on your channel that you've been doing a lot of unboxing videos, and there's a really cool new series that I really enjoy, the Out of Print series, the OOP, that I think is really unique to your channel, but also the fact that you have a bunch of Disney vaulted films, right?
Yeah, that was a labor of love, we'll call it. Yeah, the Walt Disney Treasure series was quite the undertaking to find. They're obviously all out of print at this point, and so to hunt those down was a big deal. But yeah, the OOP hunt is one episode in, so I'm waiting to find that next out of print title to bring into the collection and go to episode two.
I mean, stuff with like what we collect, like Criterion or Indicator or these boutique labels. There's a lot of them that do go out of print. So, I'm
Yeah.
sure you'll be able to find something. You've got a good nose for out of print stuff.
Yeah, we're definitely in that game, you and I, with the boutique labels. And really, I mean, that's a lot of the stuff I like to collect. I'd say probably 80% of what I collect these days is boutique label. I don't collect a whole ton from major studio, kind of standard releases. It's mostly boutique labels and a lot of stuff coming, especially from the UK.
Yeah, me too, man. It's like that mindset of Switch is so weird because I remember starting off getting Blu-rays. You get something like Jaws or Star Wars or something along those lines, or like you get really excited about, which are still great, by the way. But now
Yeah.
we're to the point, and I'm sure a lot of people watching this right now are to the point where like, well, now we have all these kind of standard films. Like what do we do next? Like, do we go into more obscure things? It's really fun to do that.
Yeah, we're getting deep into the catalogs of a lot of these studios, and for the most part, with a few exceptions, I think studios that they typically like to license out these titles. I don't know that there's a whole ton that they want to do with some of these more obscure, you know, especially maybe 20s, 30s, 40s type films, and so especially with something like film noir,
Hmm.
it's just it's like they come out of the woodwork. It's incredible to me how many film noir titles there are, and I love collecting as much of that. That's one of my favorite, and I tend to call it a film or a genre, but it's more of a film movement. But
Right. I can
um,
see that Detour poster behind you too. Speaking
yeah,
of that.
Detour right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, my Criterion poster. That's a fantastic film. Any of your viewers that haven't seen Detour, it's a hearty recommendation. A really short runtime too. I think it barely peaks over an hour. So
Yeah, I actually have it behind me. I think I talked about it not that long ago myself.
oh
Um, yeah, I freaking love this film. And I also love the cover. Like, you can see on my screen, on also David's screen right there. And like, look at that cover. Like that spine is like, it's got like, track marks on it. It's a good movie.
it stands
69
out.
minutes. That's it.
69. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's barely over an hour, and at least for me, the whole time it's like a 69-minute um, panic attack. I mean, just seeing
Right.
what happens to this guy, and I don't want to give any spoilers away, but just the filming locations kind of hit close to home for me in terms of where I am geographically, but just a really tight, really well written train wreck of a narrative. So I
Yeah,
really
well,
enjoy it.
not to play on the joke of the title, but like it is definitely a detour from like the main road, so it's
Yeah.
it's definitely there. So you
Yep.
know what we're doing here today, right?
I do. I love the series. I think this has been one of my favorite series to watch on YouTube as of late.
I've had so much fun doing this too. It's fun just getting to know everybody around the channel, like just around YouTube and also around the world, because like there's a lot of friends that I've known for a long time, like you, that I'm finally able to like sit down and like talk to you guys and just learn about all of you, and then also like some of the way like how do you come to appreciate these things that we all appreciate on this this really small thing that we have in this weird world we live in.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, let's just jump right into it. So, if you are thinking about some of your earliest memories with film, what jumps out to you?
So for me, and I've given this some thought, the first movie theater experience that I remember came in 1989, and that was to go see Honey, I Shrunk the Kids in the movie theater.
Ranis.
Um, and it kind of played like a lot of the old Hollywood films did, in that it had an animated short that led up to the feature film. And so I was lucky enough to be able to see Honey, I Shrunk the Kids with Roger Rabbit's Tummy Trouble. And and that's one to this day that I love. I'm a huge fan of Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And so to see those as kind of a double bill, if you will, um, was a lot of fun. I remember my sister and my brother being with me, and anyways, that was the first movie theater experience. But in terms of just kind of the wider scope of just movies in general, it was something for me that was just always present. I grew up in a family that loved to watch movies. And my mom, so this is the VHS era, of course, in the 80s.
Of course.
I'm a 1984 baby, so it was 80s, 90s, was my childhood. And my mom would record everything off of TV. And so we'd have just, bookcases full of, taped from TV movies, 'cause that's just how you did it back in the day.
Right.
And, I swear on my life to this day, the copy of Goonies that we had. So Goonies is one of my favorites. In fact, there's the Detour poster, and then I have the Goonies up as well. The copy that my mom secured from taping it off of TV included the deleted scene. And those who own the Blu-ray, you can actually see it as a supplement on there. There's a deleted scene when the kids get down to the ship. It's kind of right near the end of the film. Well, there's an octopus scene that was cut from the film. And I swear on my life, growing up in my young years, because Goonies came out in 85, so I was 1, but watching that taped version, I swear on my life, the copy that we had that scene in it. And so when I was watching it years later, and then into my adult years, I always thought, where'd that
scene go?
Where'd that scene go? I know there was another scene, and then they included it as a supplement, and I'm like, oh, okay, so this is a cut scene. But however that happened, it happened. I remember that scene played prominently in my memory. So
is it scary as a kid, the octopus?
Yeah, and the scene, I don't know, have you seen the scene by chance?
Yeah, no, you're reminding me of when I watched it when I was younger too. I watched it on TV.
It's very goofy.
It's very goofy. Yeah, that's true.
Like a Walkman, and he goes, kind of fluttering away in the water, to whatever song. So it's very goofy. I mean, I think more than anything, Sloth scared the crap out of me.
Oh, right.
And just the loud growling sounds or whatever he's making in the basement when Mikey first goes down there, and
this is like reminding me of so when I was really young, I actually would go up to Kansas City where my cousins live, and this is like when I remember watching the Goonies when I was this is probably back in like 1995, 96 probably. So I was about like 4 or 5 years old, maybe 97 probably, and I remember going up there and watching the Goonies on television with them. And I remember also just like when you were talking about recording on VCR, like VHS tapes. Like do you remember like this? My dad still does this, by the way. He still records things. I actually had to get him a DVD/VHS player because he wanted to record live. He still records live TV to this day.
Good for him.
He won't adapt.
Oh, that's go ahead.
I was gonna say, so yeah, besides like the Goonies and like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, like cartoons, and it's really funny. Like obviously it's in your name, Cartoon Fortress. This is like making me think of, because I know that you are an animator yourself, at least you draw. What else? Like, do you remember any like early memories where like that kind of came about? Like, I can kind of see it with that short.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, the Cartoon Fortress name, it's funny, the kind of the genesis of Cartoon Fortress came about when I was wanting to make a YouTube channel to feature my artwork.
Hmm.
I wanted to do drawing tutorials and this type of thing. Well, if you look back on my channel, there's exactly one video that has to do with art, and I do a sketchbook tour, basically, just show a completed sketchbook. And so, there's kind of this. I love art and I love movies, and movies just kind of took control in terms of the content that I'm producing. And but to answer your question though, uh, early on for me, my mom is an incredible artist. She does
Okay.
watercolor and colored pencil, Prismacolor is what it's called, and she does some incredible work. And my dad was actually a it wasn't art in a more direct sense, but it was he actually did the graphics for 1982's The Wrath of Khan
Oh wow. Okay.
for Star Trek 2, which is, kind of over the years, it's been, I think it's safe to say, a fan favorite in terms of
Right.
the Star Trek
Star
world,
Trek universe. Yeah.
Star Trek universe. I'm and I joke around with my dad about this. I'm not a Trekkie at all.
Yeah. You're a Star
Uh,
Wars fan, right?
m-
More.
more of
So
a Star Wars guy, yeah.
yeah.
And but I've got the Wrath of Khan steelbook that I had my dad sign for me as
Hmm.
kind of a joke, but it's a cool piece to have. And anyway, so he did obviously computer graphics, and this is the year, mind you. So 1982 saw films like Tron was released. You had Wrath of Khan.
The Thing. That's more practical, but
Yeah, The Thing was the same year, so it was a really stellar year. And he was kind of in the pioneer stages of a lot of this coming. And then we had, of course, into the early 90s, we had, Terminator 2, which just totally changed the game. And you see this progression, but it's cool to look back because my dad actually has his, as they will a lot of times, the artist will, he has his initials in the movie. And so it's kind of this permanent piece of my dad that's out there in movie history, which is kind of cool. But so I had parents who were into art. My mom more in the traditional sense of art, and then my dad doing the computer graphics. And I I had the creative bug early on in my life. I don't ever remember not
hmm.
drawing. And so that was something that I really took hold to. But and along with that, so we were a Disney family. The Disney animated movies is what I grew up on, and I like to say that for me personally, I was raised in the school of Disney, Spielberg, and Hitchcock.
Oh well, yeah.
Was kind of the trio, if you will, just kind of what I grew up with. But no, animation and cartoons have been just really existed at the foundation of kind of my love for movies. And I mean, you could look through my collection. I have a healthy amount of animated titles, and I'm still always looking to expand that collection. And it doesn't end with Disney. I mean, there's probably my favorite animation studio of all time is Studio Ghibli.
Oh, for sure. Oh my God. So
And
legendary. Like their Japanese work.
yeah, Studio Ghibli they're one of those studios that they can't miss. I mean, it's, and I know that's kind of, I don't know exactly where that is at this point. Studio Ghibli kind of came to an end, and I know Miyazaki
Miyazaki
um,
kind of retired, and like I
retired.
know his son's done some stuff, and like, but it's
Yeah,
not as touted. But Studio Ghibli, I feel like Studio Ghibli is still around. But they're doing different weird, like Studio Ghibli Kids and different
yeah,
productions like that.
yeah. So they're not kind of the same thing they used to be. But yeah, his son Goro Miyazaki did the adaptation of Tales from Earthsea. And um, anyways, yeah. So my love for animation definitely crosses international waters. And But yeah, Disney was, Disney animation. Being a Disney animator was the only thing I thought about as a kid. That and movies. And
Hmm.
I remember at one point I actually sent my very distinguished portfolio of work when I was, a kid off to Disney. I wanted to get that start early, and it was so cool because I received back a whole packet of information,
Wow.
and I got a letter with the Mickey Mouse kind of stationary masthead whatever, and they gave me the pamphlet that they give aspiring animators or people who want to come work for Disney. And so of course for me that was just like I had died and gone to heaven 8 times.
Right.
So yeah, that love of animation for me goes back to my earliest memories.
So how old were you when you got that package?
That's a good question. I think I want to say I was probably 11 or 12.
Okay. So like early
So,
kind of a preteen era.
yeah, preteen. I just drawing every day and kind of getting good feedback from my parents on
Oh,
um, you know
that's awesome that you have those two people that, kind of would help you with, inspire like what you're doing.
yeah, and so it didn't by any means turn into a career, but it's something that's still always with me on a day-to-day basis. And so I think it's neat when you can kind of find those things early on that you like. And really I haven't changed too much as a human being. It's the things that I loved back then or the things that I love now, and
Yeah.
maybe that's a good thing. I don't know.
No, it's definitely a good thing because I think if we can, like, I know a lot of people watching this, and also like just everybody who's been on like just around this community. I feel like there is definitely a bit of like youthful energy that we all have,
Sure.
that like we can like kind of go like, go back to and dial in. Like that's obviously like, this is the beginning of like this, like asking yourself like, okay, well, what memories do I have of when I was younger? It's like, okay, well, obviously we still and really enjoy that foundation, because like that's where, like we kind of set our basis for all the things that we're going to enjoy in the future. And so like it's nice to hear that you had like a nice foundation here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with the comment that, yeah, this community that we're lucky enough to be in, I mean, it's very like-minded people. And, and we can talk about, films in the Criterion Collection, or we can talk about the Friday the 13th movies, or we can,
Hmm.
whatever it is. I like that I associate with people such as yourself that have kind of a wide range of interests, and we can be kids and we can,
Right.
whatever. It's a well-rounded community for sure.
I don't know. There's something about the fact that we're both like simultaneously like we're all kids and like we're all adults too, but like
Yeah,
we obviously go to these movies to escape, or I guess to be emotive or maybe emotional, or get some kind of ethos from other people, or at least experiences that we don't have ourselves. Like that's a lot of the stuff that like I know we're all drawn to here.
well, sure. I completely agree.
So I guess this makes a natural, I think, transition to like, well, where do you like kind of see when you got like hooked to film and like into the stuff that you really enjoyed? Like, do you remember an exact moment or exact movie or anything like that that like you're like, okay, I really, really, really enjoy this?
Yeah, for me, I think it took hold when I purchased my first movie that was mine. It wasn't something that the family got and we all were enjoying. It was, well, and funny enough, I guess we're seeing what a Goonies fanatic I am. I was watching the neighbors' pets while they were gone on vacation, going and feeding the cat or whatever, and payment that I received from that, I went and bought my first copy of, my first movie, and I bought a copy of the Goonies, the clamshell VHS
Hmm.
case, Goonies, and I remember that feeling of ownership, and that's something I feel like we share, kind of as film collectors, movie collectors, is we feel a certain ownership over movies, and especially movies during the era that we grew up in. You know, it's like this was our movies. You know, the Goonies or E.T. or Back to the Future. You know, these '80s movies are going into the '90s. Jurassic Park.
Right.
You know, these movies. It's like I feel such ownership over them, and so for me, it really took hold when I started buying movies and started collecting. And you know, it's funny because you know, collecting VHS movies, I got to the point where I I converted a room in our basement that was a storage room that was unused, and I converted it into my own room. Convinced, you know, my parents to be able to let me, you know, go convert the storage room into my own room, and I put random bookcases that I could find that we weren't using, and kind of, you know, almost duct tape this, you know, this whole outfit together, and just had I remember I got to the point where I had somewhere around the neighborhood of 700 or 800 VHS tapes, most of
Wow.
which were actually TV recordings.
Right.
I would go, we had, you know, of course, video stores and stuff like that, and I would go buy secondhand, you know, VHS tapes. I remember, you know, it was $5 was like the going rate for this video store that I was at to buy titles. And so I would record a lot off of TV, and it was funny. I would get to the point where I would have, you know, for me, The Twilight Zone is my favorite TV show of all time, and I would get to the point where I would go on the Sci-Fi Channel and I would get the TV guide out. That's another ancient relic of the
TV
past,
guides.
the
I miss
TV
'em.
guide, and you know, highlight the date and episodes of the ones that I still needed, and you know, built my collection that way. And I would label each episode with the start time and the end time on the tape, and the, you know, all of this. And so um, that's when I started to feel, you know, okay, obviously film is important to me, you know, but then you start asking the questions of, well, why is it important to me, you know?
Right.
And so you start exploring different genres, and when you were feeling really brave, you know, international film, and you know, I think I just liked the feeling of trying to understand what people of other life experiences had to say, you know, something out, or you know, someone outside of my life experience, you know, what did they have to say about life, you know?
Right.
And, so, and that kind of begins to open your mind, and as they say, the rest is history.
Right. Do you remember how old you were when you were like had this room and you were doing these TV recordings?
Yeah, you know, so the room, uh so the when I started collecting, that was in my probably 13 to 15, I want to say. And then I actually didn't end up getting the room until I think my senior year of high school
Okay.
was when I converted that. It was like, okay, you're a senior in high school. Yeah, go ahead and do your own thing for this last year. So,
Hmm.
so I was older when I got the, you know, the actual room, um, but yeah, in terms of though recording things off TV and collecting VHS and stuff, that predated that time, you know, by several years, and I'm sure my family still has memories of me, uh, you know, hogging the TV. I would have, you know, tapes in it. And I had younger brothers. I have an older sister, and then I had several younger brothers, and I would be taping something, you know, off of TV that they couldn't watch. And you know, I remember specifically the Friday the 13th movies. They had a marathon, and I'm like, okay, well, I got to get all these. And so I had the TV tied up, you know, for the whole day. And I remember it was a little bit of a point of frustration for my family to have me tying up the TV. But I'm like, well, hang on, we just got, you know, the final chapters coming up, and then I'll be done. And so, anyways, yeah. So that's it. It was really the teenage years that took like full hold on me.
So you were that annoying teenager that would hog the TV.
I was that annoying teenager that hogged the TV. Fortunately, we
That's most
had
trouble.
we had a TV in the basement as
Oh,
well,
okay.
and so I ended up, yeah, kind of freeing up the TV for the family upstairs, and then going and doing my work downstairs.
Yeah, typical teenagers just ruin, like you get in trouble somehow, right? Like either you do something really really crazy or you just take the whole TV.
Yeah, yeah, and I was building my collection, something important that they couldn't appreciate, but
And
no.
they're like, "You can't understand this, mom, dad. You don't
Yeah,
understand because I'm going through these hormonal changes. I have to record these things."
yeah, I'm recording the evolution of Jason as a character here, and it's like,
That's
yeah,
that's wonderful.
you come up with any excuse you can to build the collection, I guess.
Yeah. So I guess currently where you are with movies, like obviously we're all in different. We have different times in our lives where we have these different ebb and flows of things that we enjoy. So I guess what are you currently watching right now?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm on Letterboxd, and it's funny if you go look at my Letterboxd, it's like a hyper little kid that hasn't taken his meds. It's like all over the place.
Hmm.
There's not really a genre that I'm watching at any one specific time or director. I'd like to do that. I think probably the most recent time that I did that was with the Harryhausen box sets, which I did recently. But right now I'm gearing up for, of course, horror movie seasons upon us. September, we're there.
Hmm.
So I've been diving in a little bit, or looking to watch some of the Scream Factory titles that I picked up. I'm newer to collecting those. Um, and so there's some in there that I would definitely like to get to. Like I recently acquired Bob Clark's Black Christmas. And then some of the others, My Bloody Valentine, actually I saw for the very first time very recently, and I really enjoyed. So I think I'm in, kind of slasher mode right now.
Makes sense to
But
me. The childhood Friday the 13th memories that are attached.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's like I said, I haven't changed much as a person, but and then there's some other. We'll go to Indicator. I need to get through the William Castle box sets, which I know you have. Yeah,
You're like glared
uh,
right there in the middle.
I know. I love that we have that as a background piece for this video. And then I've gone through the first two box sets of Hammer. So I'm going to be continuing that series as well. But yeah, I'm always generally kind of all over the place. I try and focus in, from time to time, but yeah, I think probably the best answer I'd give right now would be scary movies, just because
Scary
yeah,
movies.
we're in
Yeah.
September, October, so kind of whatever that brings.
Yeah. I mean, like my most recent video that I put up was just me talking about the scary movies I want to watch for the
Yeah,
upcoming season.
yeah,
So I
that was
totally get
great.
it.
That was a great video. I watched that. That was really great.
Well, yeah, I appreciate it. I know all of us have different, like you just said, like you had just watched My Bloody Valentine for the first time. I still haven't seen it, and I know that our mutual friend Chris Hurtado,
Yeah.
he has the out of print version of it before it got re-released, and
Oh,
so yeah, and so there's we all have different moods and times that we want to watch different things. I think that's really what's kind of nice about this thing that we like to do.
yeah, yeah. And My Bloody Valentine. It's kind of funny to call it a treat, but what a treat of a slasher movie. It was really, really great.
Well, I'm excited to watch it. I might have to go steal Chris's copy or something
Yeah,
myself.
definitely worth your time. And I believe that was actually a Paramount film as well, if I remember right. And so you have that Paramount intro, which is, so classic in terms of horror movies. They did a lot of, good horror titles. So
Man, now you're making me think of like all the times that I would see like Columbia Pictures or Paramount or like these opening shots like of those early memories of like my own life when I would watch some kind of like Touchstone Pictures or something like that, where
Yeah.
these things would come up in my mind. Like I know exactly where we're going to go with this, and
Yeah.
or even something like New Line Cinema, which I guess at the turn of the century, you would see something like you could go all the way like from something really cheesy like Mortal Kombat to like Lord of the Rings, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's right. New Line did wow, that's right. They had a wide range for
Yeah.
sure. New Line for me, I always think of correct me if I'm wrong here, because I think A Nightmare on Elm Street was the first New Line film.
I haven't checked out that,
Yeah,
but
I don't know.
I'm really curious now.
Maybe your viewers can correct us.
Yeah,
Or
correct us
correct.
down in the comment section down below. Tell us how if our memories are foggy or not, right?
Yeah, I think
So
it was Nightmare on Elm Street was the inaugural film for New Line, if I remember right.
well, that's a great film. Johnny Depp, getting sucked into that bed. No spoilers, but
Wait, some of the effects, yeah, you talk about good effects in film. They had some
oh yeah,
great sequences in that movie that not only hold up but exceed a lot of what we see today. Just really,
yeah.
really great stuff.
You talking about like the '80s and like kind of like being around your parents. I honestly think that's like the renaissance of effects, and that's the thing that I think is just, especially with practical effects. I suppose I should clarify with that. But yeah, no, it's really interesting that we have a lot of these memories of these times where like we might see, like Columbia Pictures or those things, or we might have these certain scenes like maybe like the octopus scene in the Goonies, where we have these weird like memories that are associated with certain times in our life, and they might not even be really that accurate. I think that's something that Chris said the other day when I kind of was trying to Chris Moen when I did an interview with him. I gave him like a scenario of a film that I don't really remember very well. I just remember parts of it, and then
Yeah,
I described it. He's like, "That's not a lot going on," and then he said that it's probably not even accurate. And I'm like, "You're probably right."
yeah. You said something about like a lady jumping out from the side of
Yeah,
the
in a
house.
wedding dress, she's a
Yeah,
monster.
yeah.
I don't know.
I watched that episode. Yeah, it's funny how that works. Memory is it's a funny thing.
Yeah. But that's what's so fun about this too. Is like you haven't thought about it for so long, and like you get asked about it, and you're like, oh yeah, do I remember that?
Yeah, yeah.
So I guess I can ask next. So what is your favorite film of all time? I might be able to guess it, but I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe I'll surprise you here. Um, and of course this has changed over the years a little bit, but for me it is Robert Mulligan's To Kill a Mockingbird.
Oh yeah, with Gregory Peck.
Gregory Peck.
Yeah.
It's a so I'll kind of run through this. It's not only my favorite film of all time, it's my favorite book, and my favorite singular performance of all time is Gregory Peck as Atticus Finch. Um, and I say that with no reservation. I mean, it's the greatest thing in the world. I mean, I've watched that, oh, I mean, countless times, but just such a beautiful commentary on innocence and the loss of innocence, with of course the character of Scout, Mary Badham, who played Scout. It's one of the most moving performances, and definitely child actor performances ever, if not the best, in that category as well for me. But just such a beautiful commentary, and there's some tough issues dealt with in that film. Of course, there's issues of race and things like that that come into play as well. But Harper Lee crafted just such a master work in that novel. And for me, it's when I get very I'm just very moved each time I see it, and it's one of those where each time I see it, it seems to tell me something new. So for me, that's my answer, and I'm at this point in my life, I'm very comfortable with that being my answer. Of course, there's hundreds, if not thousands, of movies that I could say, well, that could definitely be my favorite movie of all time.
Yeah, depending on the day, right?
Yeah, but I mean, but To Kill a Mockingbird seems to be the film that I think about the most. I think about it the most often, and just hits me in a way that no other work has ever hit me. So
Well, I mean, that's a great answer because I mean, like you said, I don't know about your childhood, going into like junior high or high school, but we had to read Harper Lee's book, like, not like that's a problem at all because it was definitely one of my favorite books that I read back in school. And watching that Gregory Peck, like I think we watched the film in class, but I love Gregory Peck, and like I was exposed to him really early on, like with Moby Dick, and also with something like To Kill a Mockingbird, and yeah, just like like now that I'm thinking about it, like those are very moving scenes, and I can definitely see why that could be potentially your favorite film.
yeah, and the reveal of Boo Radley at the end of the movie with Scout, and just oh man, there's so many scenes that I can think of that movie that are just um, they're tear jerkers, man. That's a movie that I watch like every time I watch it. It's just like such an emotional experience, but really, really neat. That we can be so moved by art. It's awesome that we have that connection to art.
I think yeah, that's what I think that we've kind of danced around that sometimes in these conversations I've had, where we've kind of talked about how evocative art is and a lot of the things that we're really kind of just influenced by. It really is just about connection, I kind of feel, and like kind of you kind of elicited a little bit earlier when you were talking about the fact that you maybe were experiencing things that other people hadn't, like you can't experience it yourself, right? And so you get you get those experience through film, through TV, through like your own lens, and like you can kind of color the world yourself with that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I think of I'll just talk about one that's popping up in my head right now. The film Bicycle Thieves.
Oh my goodness,
Um,
yeah.
it's I mean, your heart is just breaking for this family, especially for the father. I mean, just
Mm.
what he's going to, what he's driven to, and it's like I don't know what it feels like to have to to go to such measures to just secure a job, or support a family and things like that. And so that's really what I'm talking about when I say just kind of wanting to understand different points of view. I think it's important just in general that in society that we be more open to other people's experiences and not so sure of kind of our own thoughts of how things are, or but just kind of opening ourselves up to that. So that's one that just, yeah, sorry, kind of random, but just you
No,
know
it's a good random thought because that's a
yeah.
great film, and that's definitely a one that like really definitely moves you
Oh
because
yeah.
we have no idea what it's like to live in a post-war area, on top of the fact that there's this poverty that exists, and you're just going through the day of this guy trying to really just make this little get like this his little boy happy, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and just the having the requirement of having a bike for his job, and then what he has to go through to ensure that that happens. And it's just it's man, it's a heartbreaker.
Yeah, there's so many things about that film, but also just all the films that we've kind of even like even like the ones that are like more fun, like the Goonies or something. It could definitely like something like Sloth, right? Like you could look at a character like that, and you could look at the thing that the director's trying to get at, like where these kids are like they're scared at first, but once they get to know who Sloth is, like and you get to understand like this isn't a monster, like this is just another just part of something that we're not accustomed to.
Absolutely. Yep. I agree. Yep. That's a good example, actually.
So I guess I guess this comes down to like, what do movies mean to you currently right now?
Um, currently it's what we're doing right now. It's community. To me, it's film is an opportunity, to not only explore, these different ideas, but see what other people have to say about it. And I've been producing YouTube content now for a little over a year, kind of on a steady basis, and the biggest thing that's come about that is just being a part of the community and meeting people and kind of understanding their perspective on different films, and it's really opened my eyes up to many new films that I've brought into my own collection. And um so that's what it means to me, but film for me also in general, as I look, and this is why I'm a big advocate for collecting physical media. I look at my collection, and it acts as this kind of a roadmap of my life. It's, I can look up and I can see the Goonies, or I can look up and see any number of movies, and just the memories tied with that, or and so that's what I love specifically about physical media, is there are these things that we can hold, and that we again feel this kind of ownership over, and yeah, so it's a but currently, yeah, I mean, it's just being a part of this community, and being lucky enough to interact with the community, and just experience as many new types of films as possible.
Yeah, no, it's definitely something that you can, with that ownership and the fact that you can, look at your shelf and like, oh, I remember like when I was younger and I saw this, or, maybe, not that long ago, you might have a memory that just, recently happened with a film that you just recently watched too. It's all over the place. And that roadmap kind of analogy that you used, I think is like brilliant, just kind of to like set aside why we like the things that we do, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason that Beavis and Butthead and Bicycle Thieves, it's like that kind of a range,
Right.
It's a roadmap. I mean, that's, it's maybe that's a horrible example, but it's like that was an important part of my youth, my being a teenager and being dumb and liking funny things. And it's just you see that range, and kind of the growth too over time, to not only acknowledge but kind of take hold of some maybe more important works,
Right.
we'll say. But Beavis and Butthead, they have their
Hey,
place.
Mike Judge he's respected among a lot of people.
Yeah, come on, Office Space, and
Right, exactly. There's higher arts, right?
yeah, there's higher art, but Beavis and Butthead will remain in my collection.
Yeah, of course it always should, right?
Yeah.
So I guess where does this lead you now? Can Sorry, like now I'm like kind of thinking about all the silly things that I had, like Billy Madison and a lot of the Adam Sandler films, and I'm thinking about all the things that I have on my shelf. They're like, maybe I shouldn't really expose that to the whole world.
Hey, you be
But
you, man.
yeah, of course. So yeah. I guess I'm asking, do you have anything else to share with everyone else?
No, I'm again just really grateful for the opportunity to be here and be part of this series, and yeah, not a whole lot more to say. Just I hope everyone is able to watch a lot of great movies, and keep be a part of this community. I know for me too, it's you're maybe a little bit resistant to interact with the community, or maybe you feel like you don't have something to to add to what's being said. And I know for me that was part of my issue early on. But I think it's a community with open arms. I mean, I think there's a lot of good people, and your voice and your opinion are definitely something that would be that we'd like to have. So I would say, yeah, anybody watching this video, or uh, jump on in and come be part of the community.
Yeah, that's the thing too, is like I know like obviously I've had the same format with this entire thing the entire time. And so we've with all my guests I've had rehashes of things. But the thing is at the end of the day, everyone has that unique voice that there's something new to the table, even though we're, talking about similar things that we've went through. But it doesn't matter because those similar things are what like bring us together, but also like we have all those separate memories that are attached to the things that we've experienced, and we can share that here, and I really really enjoy that.
Absolutely. It's just a great community to be a part of.
So where can we find you?
Yeah, so I am on Instagram, and Instagram is more of just a means to post what is currently on my YouTube channel. But I'm at Cartoon Fortress on Instagram, and on YouTube, I am also Cartoon Fortress, and Letterboxd, I am also Cartoon Fortress. So yeah, that's the three kind of platforms that I use the most. I don't do really anything on Facebook, Twitter. I haven't touched in years, so that would
It's
be that, and
might be
that's for
healthy,
other,
might be healthier for you not to touch Twitter.
yeah, that's for many other reasons. But yeah, no, Instagram, YouTube, and Letterboxd.
All right. Well, I will definitely put those in the description down below. I hope everyone I really enjoyed David. This was really wonderful. I'm so happy that you were able to come on board and were able to talk to me because it's been long overdue, man.
Absolutely, very very happy to do it, and I hope we're able to interact more like this in the future.
Yeah, for sure. Well, everyone who's watching at home, I hope you enjoyed David and I's conversation. I hope it sparked some of your own movie memories and some other thoughts that you could have. I want to know down in the comment section down below, what do you think? Check our memory, because remember we had a little bit of a brain fog sometimes. But I want I want to see what you have to say about that. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Give it a like, comment down below, like I said, share that video, hit that notification bell, and we'll see you next time. I'm not jonesing around.